Nick and a nice cup of tea. And today, let me tell you what we're going to be doing. So, we're going to be making some very, very easy, simple cookies, but a little bit more grown-up cookies. So I've changed the recipe slightly to make it a little bit more adulty. So these cookies aren't for the kids, folks. These are for us. So they're going to be orange, chocolate chip, and hazelnut cookies. So you can give them to the kids as well. But we're just going to make them a little bit more sophisticated. So we're also going to be, because I've got a couple of colleagues from work are coming round to visit me for lunch. So we're not going to be dressing the table in the dining room because we're having early lunch. So we're going to be having a tablescape, a dressing of the table here in the kitchen. So I'll be going through with you what I'm going to be putting on there. And we're just going to be having a very simple beef and satay stir fry for lunch. And we're going to be having cookies with coffee afterwards. So no dessert, cookies for dessert. So let me run through with you what we need for the cookies. So you need 2 bowls. And the first bowl, you have 150 grams of room temperature softened butter. And in your second bowl, it's what you're going to be sieving your flour into. Okay? And the reason why you're going to be using 2 bowls is because, I don't know if you remember me from before telling you, if you're using chocolate chips or you're using dried fruit or you're using anything like cheese in a cheese scone, it's always good to coat whatever you're putting into the mixture in flour first, so that it doesn't sink or stick or clump together with the butter. So we're going to be sieving the flour, and then we're going to be adding the chocolate chips and the hazelnuts, which I've literally just put out on the pan, and we've toasted them slightly to warm them through. So let's go through the list of ingredients. So in this bowl, we have 175 grams of softened butter. Sorry, not 150, 175. We also have 175 grams of soft brown sugar. So light brown sugar, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 3 free-range large eggs, 110 grams of, this is actually a Terry's chocolate orange Easter egg, which I had left over, and I've literally just chopped it into chunks. So you can just use normal chocolate chips, or you can buy a bar of orange flavored chocolate and you can use that. And also we're going to have 110 grams of hazelnuts, which have been chopped, and like I said, I've just dry toasted them in the pan. Now, 350 grams of plain flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt. That's our ingredients, folks. Then for our equipment, we need, as we said, the 2 bowls. We need a sieve. We need an ice cream scoop, and that's literally for forming the cookies, a spatula, and I have done 2 trays just lined with greaseproof paper, okay? Because you need to leave space between the cookies. Secret to these cookies is you cook them on the top shelf of the oven. So put 2 shelves quite close together in your oven at the top so that you get the heat up underneath them to get them cooked from the underneath as well. Okay, now for your oven temperatures. So we need to set the oven to 350 Fahrenheit, 180 Celsius, or gas mark 4. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to sieve our plain flour with our teaspoon of baking powder and our half a teaspoon of salt straight into this bowl. And we're getting flour everywhere. Why is it flour always does that? I suppose because it's so fine. Also then into that I'm going to add my chocolate chunks and I'm going to add my toasted hazelnuts, all going into there. And then I'm going to just literally combine them with the flour so that the flour coats them. And don't worry about your chocolate chunks, how big they are, because they will melt in the oven anyway. It's nice to get a bit of gooey chocolate inside a cookie. So that's them combined, folks. Okay, and now we're going to get on with creaming our butter and our sugar. That's our first step in the process. Obviously, you've made sure you've preheated your oven first. Most important. Okay. And we'll just incorporate that butter and sugar together first before we turn the mixer on so that we don't... Oh, see? We don't end up with the butter and the sugar flying everywhere. Okay, you need to cream this for about 5 minutes to get it lovely and creamy and fluffy. So I'll get on with doing that. while you can make yourself a nice cup of tea and enjoy the show. Okay, so that's had about 5 minutes and that's lovely and light and golden and fluffy. And now I'm going to add my 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Okay, and that's gone in there. Chris, if you can remind me, I need to purchase some more vanilla extract. And we're going to add in our 3 eggs, but we're going to add in our eggs one at a time. And remember, we're going to crack our egg into this bowl first to ensure that it's a good egg to go, because we do not want to destroy this lovely mixture. What you will do is beat between each egg addition, and that stops your mixture from curdling. Because normally you would add egg and then you would add a little bit of flour and that would stop it from curdling. But today we're adding all the eggs first. So we're literally going to make sure that they're fully incorporated before we add the next one. That one's gone in. And again, into our bowl, we're going to do egg number 2. I have to say these are lovely free-range eggs from my friend up the road, which I'm very lucky to have access to. I did think this year I might get some chickens for the fun, but then I can't look after myself, never mind look after chickens. What do you reckon, folks? Let me know in the comments whether you can see me running around the farm after chickens. Farm, says he. There's no more a farm than it is a circus. Okay. And then in there goes that 3rd egg. Okay, and we'll give that a mix. Okay, so now finally we're just going to add in our sieved flour, chocolate chunks and hazelnuts in there. I always find chocolate and hazelnuts go really well together, but then I do like a bar of dairy milk whole nut chocolate, so maybe that's the reason why. Now, on the low speed, you want to incorporate your flour, not too high because you'll get it all over the place. Mix this in really well. Okay, so I'm just using my ice cream scoop and I'm scooping out my cookies onto my tray, leaving plenty of space around them to spread. So you're better off to do more trays and less cookies on each tray than you are to try and cram them all onto 1 or 2 trays. Let's see how many we get out of this now. Because of course it all depends on the size of your ice cream scoop or your spoon, whatever you use. You don't need to use an ice cream scoop. You can just use a tablespoon or a small teaspoon. Okay, and I'm going to chance one more here. Okay, that's 1 tray done. Okay, so there's 14 on these 2 trays, and I've probably got enough mixture to make another 6 or 7. So I'm going to pop these into the top shelves of the oven, and I'm going to cook them for 8 to 10 minutes until they're light and golden. Okay, you guys, so these were 12 minutes in the oven in the end, and they look absolutely beautiful and they smell amazing. I took them straight off the sheet pans and onto the wire cooling rack to cool. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jizz them up a little bit, and I've melted a bar of white chocolate. Okay, you can use dark chocolate if you like, or milk chocolate. And I've literally melted it in the microwave. Don't be frightened. Put your chocolate in your bowl in small pieces for 20 seconds. Stop, leave it for a couple of minutes, go back, stir it another 20 seconds until your chocolate is completely melted. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that chocolate melted from the microwave. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple of cookies and I'm literally just going to dip them, let the chocolate run off, and back onto the same baking tray that they were cooked on. Okay, and I'm going to do that with a few of them. And then I'm going to drizzle some on some others. Okay, and so from a height then I'm just going to drizzle them like this. Okay, and I'm also going to leave some plain just in case somebody doesn't like white chocolate. Scooter is right underneath my feet. As usual, whenever I mention the word chocolate, he's there, knowing full well that he's not allowed it, but he still chances his arm every time. Okay, you guys, so now for dressing the table. And today I'm going to use this beautiful linen blue and white tablecloth with hand-stitched embroidery. And this is Irish linen. However, I purchased this in a village called Lefgada, outside of Larnaca in Cyprus, where they use all Irish linen to make their tablecloths. Because apparently in Ireland, back in the day, we had amazing linen factories. So, that's my tablecloth. I also have matching napkins, which I'll just show you. The needlework that went on to create these little masterpieces is just absolutely stunning. And this village is actually on the way to Chris's mum's village where she was born in Cyprus, and we often visit there and we stop off at Lefgada Lace to get some tablecloths or some napkins or something beautiful. I also have these amazing silver filigree. Filigree is the way that the silver is worked in a very, very fine mesh. And they're going to be my napkin holders for today. And they also were a gift from Chris's mum to me. These are mainly just to protect the table from the heat. And I think I'll put Suzanne in the middle so we're all shared around. Okay. Here I have some lovely cutlery, which is snail cutlery. I had this actually for sale in one of my shops and I stole it. Stole it on myself, huh? Okay. For our beautiful cookies, and we're going to have our cup of tea. We should leave them on the table and get them ready. Our nice dinner plates. Okay, here I've created a flower display. Very simple. I had some roses, which I cut very short, just to practically the head. I had a lily, which I done the same thing, and I had some chrysanthemums, and I've just put them in a bowl of cold water. And they are going to sit there as my centerpiece. Okay, now I'm going to put my candles in and around. so you guys, that's it. The cookies are done. Absolutely delicious. They smell amazing. They look fantastic. And I'm sure my guests are going to love it. And as I hear the doorbell just going, I shall leave you and thank you for watching. And please do try the cookies and let me know in the comments how you got on. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you very soon for another video. Thanks for watching.